Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you don't know me, my name's Matt. Yeah, I'm I'm a 25-year veteran tattooer. I guess you could say I'm kind of an old head. But let me ask you something. And this is kind of important, I guess. When was the last time you ever actually finished anything? Any drawing, any painting, whatever. When was the last time you finished a piece of art? Do you ever look at your sketchbook and you see it? You know the one I'm talking about. We all have them. It's got about 5 different drawings sitting in it, staring at you, screaming at you to finish them, but you're not going to. Or you see that file, on your Procreate or your project files in your laptop or desktop or whatever, and you know, you're not going to get back to them, but you keep telling yourself, yeah, we'll get back to this, I promise. Or what about that brilliant, world-shattering, earth-changing idea that you never do? The one you get excited about, the one that, gets you going, but you're never going to do anything with it because you're scared you're going to screw it all up. If that sounds like you, guess what? You're not alone. Your own standards have gotten so high that you built this cage around yourself. Your best ideas are trapped inside of that cage. And then you're trying to let them out and you scroll through social media. I fall all the time on this. And you see all these flawless, just beautiful pieces of artwork. And then that little head in your voice keeps going. It kind of sparks up again, and it sits there and it tells you, man, your work's never going to be as good as that. And it's paralyzing. I know it is for me. But what if I told you something? What if the secret to actually finishing your art was not getting better? It was just getting it done. What if it's all about willing to be, honestly, imperfect? What if letting go of control was the key to it? Now, stick with me here, because we're going to break down kind of 5 different concepts that will give you kind of a blueprint to help break yourself out of that cage. And that way you can start having fun with it again. And before we break out of this cage, let's talk about the cage itself, understanding the bars of this cage. We're going to play this as an analogy, right? Perfectionism isn't about wanting to do good work. We all want to do good work. That's striving for excellence. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all wrong with that. The problem is it's this bad voice in the back of your head that it hurts. It's this destructive thing that it's really built all around fear. It's the inner critic that just gets so loud in the back of your head that it drowns everything else out. It's imposter syndrome. You think everything you have done that was good in the world is a fluke, and every mistake is just showing the world that you're a fake, that you're a fraud. It sucks. But how does this show up as an artist? The biggest one, I run into this a lot, is it's procrastination. You start putting everything off because the pressure to make it perfect, it's overwhelming. Or you can't ever call anything done because you just keep wanting to tweak it. You keep wanting to mess with it. Or honestly, the biggest one, and this, I don't know very many artists, especially as professionals, that it's no longer fun. Plain and simple. And art's supposed to be about exploring, and I'm fidgety today, I guess. It's about exploring. And it quits being that way, and it becomes a source of, well, anxiety, stress. And art should be fun, right? Like, seriously. I don't know how many times I've spent way too much time on a painting or a drawing or a digital piece, getting obsessed with getting everything absolutely perfect, nudging all those colors, getting just tweaking it. And it sucks the joy out of everything. Fortunately, in the tattoo world, you can't keep tweaking in the same session because you'll end up destroying the skin, and you don't want to do that. But when I do art, you can, it's so hard sometimes. But looking at other artists sometimes makes it even worse because you're comparing their finished stuff to the stuff you know how it was made. You see every flaw you put in your work. And man, that just feeds that same perfectionism. But to be honest, you're not alone. And you don't have to be stuck there. You really don't. And to get out of it, really, you're the answer is pretty simple. It doesn't mean it's easy, but it's simple. It's not about lowering out your standards. It's about changing that whole perspective. It's about letting go of this myth that perfectionism exists in art. It's shifting your focus from finished product to the process and learning to enjoy the process again. Learning to fall in love with making things. And learning that making things includes all of the messes and the screw ups that are involved in it. It's about giving yourself to be a permission to be a work in progress, just like your art. And to do that, we need some practical steps to kind of retrain our brains. I'm not going to say it's a cure-all because I have problems with it sometimes too, but look at it as a blueprint to try to help breaking out of that cage. Perfectionists, we always have a hard time finishing because perfect isn't a target that you can really hit. It's always elusive. So just stop aiming for it. That's step one. Your definition of done is from here on out, the timer went off. And what do you mean by that? Yes, set a timer. That's simple. A timer forces choices. It shuts down this part of your brain that makes you want to just keep noodling on shit. So, let me give you an action plan. Yeah, we're getting official with the names, right? Set a timer. Give yourself 15 minutes. And you have to complete a small drawing in 15 minutes. A piece of fruit, coffee mug, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just draw something. But when that timer goes off, drop everything. Pencils down, paper shoved away from you, however you handle it. You're not allowed to touch it again. At all. By definition, you're done. No more. Is it perfect? No, not at all. But is it done? That's the point. If you can do this regularly, you can prove to yourself that you can finish shit. It builds a weird momentum and kind of changes your goal from making everything this earth-shattering piece of art into just completing exercises. So that forces you to get something finished, right? But what do you actually do your drawings in anymore? You know, you don't want to use that big fancy sketchbook, right? No, that's the other thing. A lot of artists have that sketchbook they're scared of ruining. And that fear is perfectionism again. All of this comes back to making shit perfect. So go grab some cheap art supplies. Go to Walmart and buy that, $5 ream of paper, or buy a cheap sketchbook out of Five Below or Daiso. Get one you don't care about. That's the big thing. You call that one your ugly sketchbook or your trash book, whatever you want to call it. But use that one to give yourself total freedom. Make whatever marks you want to make. Make everything without care of it being wrong or right. Because doing that, it's your permission to fail. It's your permission to screw up. The point isn't to just make something for an audience. You're not drawing for anybody else but yourself in this. It's giving yourself this feeling of being a kid again and just doodling. It's making marks without judging them. It's reminding yourself that art can be play, that it doesn't have to be this weird performance. And giving yourself that place to, perform is great. But let's start talking about how to stop overworking things. And that really, if you think about it, 80% of any work gets done in 20% of the time. It's that last 20% where you end up getting really detail oriented and kind of noodly, right? That stuff eats up 80% of your energy. Creepy, right? But that's where you get all the diminishing returns. That's when you're fighting for this level of perfect that nobody but you is ever gonna see. That 80% rule it's just this. Learn to recognize when a piece is good enough. Make that conscious choice to stop. Trust me, nobody zooms in to 400% on your Instagram posts. They're, oh, that's cool, and move on, right? It's going to feel weird at first. It really is. But if you stop at 80%, you're going to finish 5 times more of your artwork. I'm not sure if that's scientifically proven, but we're making these facts up as we go along sometimes, right? But you'll learn 5 times faster. You're going to get more results because you're constantly moving into new problems. You're choosing growth over the illusion of perfection. That one perfect piece goes away. Now look, if any of this is making any kind of sense, hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, let me know that you're listening. I'm trying to build a community here, and I want to be a community here. But anyways, stopping at 80%, I know it feels weird. It takes practice. It really does. And a big part of that practice is changing really how you talk to yourself. And part of that is you have this inner critic in the back of your head. And that inner critic is gasoline. It's adding fuel to this perfectionism garbage fire in the back of your head. And it's hard to make that voice just shut up. But you can change how you deal with it. Because the voice is always going to be talking. But what you have to learn to do is turn that voice from being a harsh critic into a scientist, right? When you make that mistake, don't spiral out of control. Take a step back. Activate the curious part of that brain. Start asking these neutral questions. That arm looks weird. Why is it weird? What can we do to fix it? What can we study to make that better the next time? Always address for the next piece. Or, this isn't giving me the vibe, colors or the contrast, whatever. What can we learn from this? How can we fix this in future projects, right? Talk to yourself like you talk to your buddy. You wouldn't tell them that their art's garbage and that they should quit, they have no talent, whatever. You're going to prop them up. You're going to be encouraging. Apply that to yourself. Prop yourself up. That's the big part of taking all of this perfectionism apart. And then once you start treating yourself with a little bit of compassion, you can start kind of working into, I guess, the final step, the final stage. And how to put it, there was a story, I think it was from a book called Art and Fear. And please, I read this, I think it was an excerpt somewhere. If I'm wrong, let me know. I drop a comment, please. But if I'm butchering all of this, forgive me, but I think it's a great story. So you had the ceramic teacher, and he split his class up into 2 different groups. You had one group that he said he was only going to grade on quantity of work. Literally, the quantity of work they get produced is what they were graded on. So on the last day, he'd bring out a scale and he'd weigh all the pots. And, I think 50 pounds got an A, 40 pounds got a B. You know how it goes. The other group, they were the quality. They only had to produce one pot. But to get an A, it had to be absolutely flawless, perfect, right? Well, the end of the semester came through and these people were, doing their things. But something kind of funny happened. It's kind of weird. The highest quality pot, they came from the quantity group. Yeah, the quantity group. You want to know why? It's because that group spent the entire time cranking out all these pots. They were making pot after pot. They were practicing. They were experimenting. They were learning from all the mistakes they were making. And through sheer volume of work, they actually became better at pottery. Crazy, right? Well, that story kind of kicks back here for me. It shows that quality can be a byproduct over quantity. You can't perfect a skill that you're not using. So don't be good before you start. You have to suck to start. But through the act of doing, you will get good. And there you have it. I mean, 5 things you can do to get kind of out of perfectionism. Redefine your done with timing. Get a gross sketchbook. Throw stuff away. Get throwaway books. Use the 80% of the rule. The 80%, talk to yourself like you talk to your friends. And remember the quantity over quality. Letting go of perfectionism, it's not something that you flip a switch and it's done, sunshiny, bright, and happy. It's practice. It's all practice. And it's about giving up. It's not about giving up your desire to make cool shit. It's about realizing that making cool shit is paved on top of 100 pieces that you think are garbage. We talked about light bulb moments where you're going to see those light bulb moments as you progress. Not pursuing perfectionism will help you progress on that. But the world doesn't need perfect masterpieces. It just needs voices out there. It needs stories. It needs art. It needs artists. And your art, it deserves to be finished. I mean, you deserve to have fun doing it, right? Go out there. Make something imperfect. Do it today. But before you get out of here, I'd love to hear back. If any of these resonate with you. Don't overthink your comment. Just drop it. Doesn't matter. Doing it is better than perfect. I also wanted to talk. I'm actually dropping my Discord this week. I'll probably have it up and ready to go Saturday morning. If you want to get in, I should have a link in my channel description. If not, I'll have a link in this description. And we will be building a Patreon. I'm not sure when, but I want to get some better cameras, maybe a better computer later for my channel, just to get things set up and moving in a better direction. And hopefully be able to give you guys better quality. Not perfect, but better. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Get out there, make the bad art, embrace the suck, but just get shit done. Be nice to everybody you run into today, and I'll see you next week. Bye.